If you're new around here, my name's Jessica, and on this channel, we love to talk about the how and the why behind the recipes that we eat and cook every single day. So I thought this was a really fun video because it kind of gives you a peek into the behind the scenes of how people meal plan, especially because people like me who, I'm gonna be honest, I rarely repeat a dish. Sometimes I'll make something, my husband will be like, I love it. I'll be like, great, you're not gonna eat it again for probably like 8 months, so hope you enjoyed it. So I wanted to share a little bit more about how I kind of plan week to week for our weeknight dinners, as well as how I plan for any maybe special occasion parties where I'm hosting like a whole different course meal or making different components to make sure that there's lots of good food at a party. So let's first talk about the realistic piece of menu planning, and that's weeknight dinners. Now I know everybody's situation is going to be a little bit different. I don't have any kids and I don't really have to worry about people being picky or not liking what I put on the table. So feel free to take this advice and kind of turn it to whatever you need for your family and your unique situation. But at the end of the day, weeknight menu planning is kind of a beast for all of us. We know we have to eat, and during the weeknight, we might not always have time to prepare like a 7-course fancy meal. We need something that's fast, quick, and going to keep us full. So my strategy for weeknight dinners kind of looks a little bit different than when I go all out for a party. In terms of week to week, I like to plan kind of a couple different scenarios in terms of making sure that we have really well-rounded meals that are healthy. So my strategy is to incorporate different types of food. So the kind of 4 food groups that I like to incorporate into every single dinner include a protein, whether or not that's meat or a vegan or vegetarian friendly protein. I also like to include some sort of starch, so if that's quinoa or rice or pasta, something to kind of bulk up the meal and add a little bit more to it. And then of course, veggies. Maybe sometimes that's only 1 veggie, sometimes I incorporate multiple veggies. It just kind of depends on the dish. Now I know a lot of families like to make a protein and then kind of eat the starch and the veggies as a side dish. And that's totally cool. I think that gives you some flexibility, especially if you have kids who are picky eaters, for them to kind of choose what they want and what they don't want. But I also want to remind you that they don't always have to be 4 separate components to a meal or 3 separate components to a meal. You can also take all of those different components and combine it into one dish for like a 1-pot meal or a sheet pan meal. We do that a lot, and I think it just makes your life a little bit easier because you know that you're only gonna have to cook 1 main course, but at the same time, you're getting all these different proteins, starches, and veggies within that one dish. On the weeks that you do get in a dinner rut and you're looking for something a little bit more fun or something that you don't normally eat, I do have a couple tips to help you kind of use your creativity and make something new. So oftentimes I like to think of a theme, whether or not you use a theme for all 7 days of the week, or maybe like every Wednesday you have pasta, and then every Thursday you do some kind of like Mexican dish. I think that gives you some flexibility to know what you're gonna eat that day, but then change up actually what you're making. So maybe one Wednesday for pasta you have lasagna, and then the next you try a gnocchi dish. It kind of gives you some wiggle room to know that every single week you're like, okay, I have a theme to go off of. I'm not gonna have to spend hours trying to come up with creative ideas, but rather all you have to do is kind of look for fun meals throughout the week that may kind of go along with that theme. Now if that sounds too like extreme for anybody, I get it. But that's just kind of one way that I like to force myself to almost be creative and kind of try something or a new recipe out of my comfort zone. And I should mention that I have a blog post with 31 meal ideas or themes to help you spice up weeknight cooking. So I'll link that below. I also included in that post recipes and side dishes to go along with the theme, just to kind of give you somewhere to start. So I'll link that below and you can check that out. Another trick that I do to force myself to be creative is highlighting a certain flavor or a certain ingredient. Usually this happens when I go to the grocery store and I either see some produce that's in season that looks really good, or I'm wandering the aisles and I see a new product that really piques my interest. I'll try to use that and incorporate it into a weeknight dinner just to add some fun or some flair. This is a really good way if you're looking to try something new or make a new recipe that you can just go to the grocery store, see what inspires you, and then when you get home, look up a recipe using that item. If you have any other dinner ideas that help you menu plan, feel free to leave them in the comments below so we can all learn from each other. But I do want to move on to a little bit different of a topic, and that's planning a menu for a party. This is completely different, and my strategy to plan a party menu is 100% different than what I would use for weeknight meals. When we're talking about hosting a party or a get-together, usually we think of extravagant. We want something that's going to wow our guests. We want something that's going to be fun and exciting and something we normally would not do during the week. Now, before we can even get to start thinking about what we're gonna make for a party, you first have to do a little bit of research, sit down, take some time to jot down some notes on what is your party even gonna be for. Are you hosting a birthday party? Are you hosting a fancy dinner party for just adults? Are you hosting something around the Super Bowl or for a holiday? There's all sorts of different scenarios, and really your menu is gonna want to be tailored to exactly what you are hosting. So first sit down and jot down kind of what your ideas are for the party. The other thing that you're gonna wanna think of, and people miss this step when they think about planning the party, is how much space do you have? How much space do you have in your oven to cook a certain number of dishes? How much space do you have in your refrigerator to store those, or if you have anything that's pre-made? You kind of have to think through the space that you'll be using and how much room you're gonna have for certain dishes. So make sure to jot that down as well when you're planning. It's an important step, but like I said, I think people forget it and it will come in handy later. Now that you have that kind of pre-work done, it's time to move on to actually planning the menu. If you hate menu planning, I'm gonna throw a link to a blog post that I just wrote that gives you, I think there's about 8 different menus that you can choose from, depending on what kind of party that you're throwing. So definitely check that out if you need some inspiration or you hate menu planning. But for those of you who like to do this or want to try to do it on your own, I have a few tips for planning party menus. The first thing you need to keep in mind is that when you're planning a party menu, really the point is to have fun with it. You want to have dishes that look really appetizing and appealing, as well as making sure that you have fun flavor combinations and a variety of things that people can choose from. Especially during a party, you don't always know what people are gonna like or not like, so make sure that you kind of have a variety of things so that way people can choose to eat whatever they would prefer. So I want to talk through a couple different menus just to show you that there can be a variety of ways that you can plan your menu no matter what party you're hosting. So first up, I want to have the example of just a casual get-together. Like, you're just inviting your friends or your family over, nothing special. Maybe you guys are gonna play games or just kind of hang out. There's a variety of things you can do. Some of my favorite menu options include an appetizer night. So you can just ask everybody to bring over their favorite appetizer and set it all out on the table, and everyone just kind of chooses and eats whatever they want. You could also do a family style dinner, which family style means that you kind of make big portions. They're all set in the middle of the table, and then you just kind of eat out of those big portions and everyone grabs what they want. For casual get-togethers, I really like to encourage people to allow your friends or your family to bring a dish over. It doesn't all have to fall on you as the host to cook everything. So remember that and take advantage of your friends and ask them to bring a dish over. On the other hand, let's say that you're planning a fun cocktail party and you actually want to be in charge of everything that's going to be on the menu. That's a fine way to do it too, and here is a quick example menu for a cocktail party. Always make sure that, especially for that, you have enough alcohol and drinks You'll also want to make sure that you have a non-alcoholic drink for maybe anybody who doesn't drink or can't drink. For cocktail parties, I also think it's fun to do bite-sized little mini hors d'oeuvres and desserts. So for this, I would choose a variety of different hors d'oeuvres. For this, I would do something like a small cheese plate, maybe little crudités or vegetables, as well as little appetizer bites like bacon wrapped dates or something with puff pastry would be really fun. And then for this theme, you could also stick with like the minis and make little mini desserts. That way you can make a variety of different kinds and people can just nibble and try on all the different kinds. I really do love coming up with menus, so I do have a lot of different other menus on my blog. I have one for, let's see, a birthday party casual menu, a sporting game menu. I also have one for holiday party menu and a dinner party. So if you need some inspiration, definitely check out that blog post to kind of get you thinking about what your menu for your party could look like. Now, another thing that you'll want to consider that, again, I don't think we're ever taught this, is that you need to plan for how much food you're gonna prepare for your party. Whether or not you're hosting 4 people or 25 people, you still need to estimate to know how much to buy. So I made a cheat sheet all about entertaining serving sizes to help you figure out where is a good jumping off point for how much food to serve. There are certain standards when it comes for how much to make. For example, if you're making some kind of meat protein, usually you want to plan for about 6 to 8 ounces per person. Similarly, if you're making like a grain as a side dish, you'll want to plan for about ½ a cup per person. So this guide will have everything that you need to know in terms of where to start for how much food to plan for your party. I'll leave that in the description below so you can grab that freebie and use it for the next time that we hopefully soon are able to host people over at our house. Whether or not you're new to meal planning or you're an old pro, I hope that you've got something from this video and took something away to help you plan your next weeknight dinner or fancy party menu. If you have any other questions, comments, or just things that you think would be helpful, definitely throw those in the comment section below. And I hope, as always, that this video inspired you and reminded you that meal planning and menu planning don't have to be overwhelming, but to just kind of take it one step at a time to feel fun, add some creativity and flair to make it your own. And just always remember that food can be fun and exciting. Until next time, I will see you in the next video.